Assalamu alaikum. Now we continue with the basic grammar of the Arabic language. Today we continue with the distinguishing marks or the letters or movements that we use to distinguish nouns. Then in maybe third or fourth video we start with how to recognize verbs. So today I have here is the text of like a 6 or 500 year old book about basic grammar. It was famous in the Middle East, North Africa, and the reason for that is it's the way it was designed. So what I talked about last time is what the author here, his name is Ibn Ajurrum. It's a North African Berber name, and he is a scholar of language, so he made this book. So he started with the basics, and over here you have this text. Now, as I said, the method I will use is using text that has these movements on it. So there is a website that have books that are in the public domain, and they're old text. Like this one here is 120, I think, or 130-year-old text. So I will leave the links for these texts that I will be using here in the description below. So I suggest you use these links to get to these books. I think they will be very helpful. This way you would be studying the same text that will inform you about the language, like this text here, and other texts that has different subjects or just exercises. So if we start with this one here, it starts Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, which means in the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful. It's interpreted different ways, but it all has to do with mercy and grace. So these are adjectives: Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. That's most of the books, that's how they start with. Here it says الكلام هو اللفظ المركب المفيد بالوضع وأقسامه ثلاثة. I don't have to, at this stage, to explain every text and word. We just worry about making these sounds and recognizing these movements. So just follow or concentrate on listening to how I say these. I will not go, as I said, deep into these words, but we will just use the text as a guide, at least in the first few videos. So here it says that speech, for the grammarian, he's explaining that they think of speech differently than other divisions in study of language. And over here it says it's just the pronouncement, what you pronounce. Al-Murakkab, containing more than one word, even if it's implied. So if you say run, usually you don't say you run, you say run, and the you is implied in there. So when they say murakkab or assembled, meaning it has more than one word and they're joined together, that's what they mean. Even if it's just, when you write run, you write one word, but you imply the you in there. Same thing in Arabic. Al-Mufid, useful. It should be useful. So any other sounds, if someone is sleeping and he's just babbling and making pronouncing different words, but with no intention, it's not meant to inform or be useful. Here, بالوضع, meaning in the Arabic language, according to the laws of the Arabic language, and also it means intention, intentionally assembled, pronouncement. You can think of it this way. And then they starts of dividing them. It's this kalam or speech is formed from three parts. Ism, which is noun. Wa here is the and in Arabic. Wa. Fi'l, that's the verb. Now fi'l also has a meaning. It means do. So to do. So فعل يفعل. What did he do? ماذا فعل? What فعل? فعل did. ماذا فعل? This is in the past tense. يفعل, he is doing in the present tense. So the word used for verb is also has its in itself is a verb too, and used as like any other verb. Then the third part is a حرف that came for a meaning. جاء لمعنى. Came for a meaning, so not just any letter. And sometimes you would have, it's not just one letter, they call it a حرف, a letter, but sometimes it's one letter like this wa here. Sometimes it's more than one letter, like ala here. 1, 2, 3, ala, which means at or on. So these are the divisions of speech: noun, verb, and a meaning letter, or a letter for meaning, or a letter that has meaning on itself, not just a letter to form a word with. فالاسم, now he starts with the how you distinguish the nouns. So al-ism, this is the noun, is known by. بالخفض, this is the first thing he starts with, but I left this for last because it has all these that go with it. These are all these are meaning letter. This is min, which means from. Ila, which means to. An, which also means about, has different ways of usage. Fi, we talked about ala. Fi is in, and these other letters. So I left it for last. Then he says the name is known by khafd. There's two schools of thought. So one of them used the word khafd, but the more famous one is used jar. So you would have the word jar. G-R, jar. So that's another word for this khafd. So in this text, it's used this here khafd, but sometimes you also use this word jar, and it means the same thing. So this only happens for nouns. So all these letters only go with nouns. So if you see any one of these letters here, meaning letters, 1, 2, 3, and they all have meanings from, to, and so on, they can only attach to nouns. So if you see one of these, you know the one that comes after it is a noun. So that's another distinguishing mark for nouns. But I left this for last because of this. It takes more explanation. So the second one is tanween. So this is what we talked about, the three movements with the an. It's on, an, and in. So this is called tanween. So that's the second way you distinguish a noun. Then دخول الألف واللام. Al-alif, al-lam, this al that I talked about. Al, this here, al. It's only used to identify a name. So, and this only goes with nouns. So you will never see this al attached to a verb. So this is the third sign he mentioned. Then there is other distinguishing marks, but in this text he used these: al-khafd, tanween, dukhul al-alif bil-lam, and there's another two that we'll discuss later. So the way we study this or do this course is I first will explain the subject for that specific video. In this video we will discuss this L here, and we'll try to decide which nouns have it, which nouns does not, and find it in a text. Then I will read some texts that have these movements on it. So I think practicing and listening is more important to instill these instill the understanding of these laws. So we covered this. You can get these texts, as I said, if you go to these links that I will leave in the description, inshallah. And you can get different text here. I included there, you can use. So for today, we try to recognize this L here. If we use this text for that, notice this here Allah is the origin of the name is some opinion it's Al-Ilah. Al-Ilah. So you have the definite article, then Ilah. Ilah in Arabic means God. So Al-Ilah means the God. And with usage became just the proper name, Allah. They joined them together and became one word because it's ubiquitous or used all the time. It just became the proper name to refer to the Creator. So it's Al-Ilah, the God. So that's one explanation for it. So that's how we think about it when we talk about Allah, the name Allah. In here, so you see Ar-Rahman. Ar-Rahman. As I said, there's like half the letters or almost half. When you attach L to it, you pronounce the L. Another one, they're called Al-Qamari. So Al-Qamar is moon. If you attach L to it, it becomes Al-Qamar. So you have to pronounce the L. And all letters that cause this L to be pronounced, they're called the Al-Ahruf Al-Qamariya, or the letters, or the moon letters. Since the L in the moon is pronounced, all these letters are called the Qamariya. On the other hand, the sun letters, or Al-Ahruf Al-Shamsiyya, the word for sun in Arabic is Shams. So when you add L to it, becomes Ash-Shams. So you notice I did not pronounce the L, so it becomes Ash-Shams. It's like stressed Ash-Shams. So a group of letters also, when they attach to L, they cause it to be omitted from the pronouncement, not from the writing. You have to write it still. So that's why when you hear me read the text, sometimes you will hear me say al-kalam, sometimes you will hear me say I can't see here a word. We will come across words that they will have this L, but we don't pronounce it, and they're called the sun letters. So, and also every video, this let's say this is the subject of this lesson, is this L here, and that's it. We cover this. This is what you focus on. From this video, that's what you take. When I read a text or go into exercises, I will make it a habit to start to discuss different laws in passing, so you don't have to worry about them. So if I say أقسامه, I start describe its position in grammar. Why did it have the O or something? I try to limit it to the basics because this is a basic grammar. But the idea is you listen to it, but don't worry about understanding. If you understand it immediately, that's good. If not, it's okay. When we get to its video that's designed to explain it, then you will remember, okay, this was mentioned so many times. So I think that's a good idea, is just get into the habit of getting used to these described as I read them. And as I said, if you're going to just write everything I said and write it as a law and try to study it, I suggest you just stop when I finish. When I say, okay, the lesson to this video is done, and I start reading text as a practice, I would suggest you just stop the video. If you're going to just use these comments that I make about the text as a lesson and start to write it down. But if you're just gonna listen, it's okay. So that's my suggestion, because I think we learn a lot more than we think we do when we try to repeat what we've learned. So by discussing these different ways of saying things, as I said, because we already speak a language, you just make the connections even if it's without being conscious of it. So I think this method is okay, as long as I said don't use it as the lesson. The lesson is about L, so that's what you talk. You just worry about this. For this lesson, I study التعريف and I look for it in the text. That's it. In the next lesson, we do the same thing. So if we do the exercise for this lesson today, is we find the L in this text. So this is L here, this is L there. So I know this is a noun, this is a noun, which is also a name. When we get to other distinguishing marks, we will find other nouns. But for now, we covered the tanween, the on, an, and in, which is tanween. That's the name of it. And now we're covering this دخول الألف واللام, receiving the alif, this A, and the lam. The lam is the name for the letter L, and the alif is the name for the letter A. So this A, L is, this A is alif, and this L is a lam. So you will see these used all the time. They use just like you use in English B, D. When you mention the name, you say the letter B, but when you write it, you don't pronounce it as a B. Depending on its position, that's how it's pronounced. Same thing here. This is just the name for the letter, the alif and the lam, the A, L, L, L. So we found this here. This is an L. This is an L there. This is an L there. You notice it's all at the beginning of the noun. That's another L there. That's another L there. Here it's not obvious, but this here is one of those letters, ba, which means with or by. Ba. It's attached to this L here. So if written, this will be an L here. Now focus on these. That's obvious. We will cover. You will get used to these after you start to recognize them. So there's nothing here. Here, don't worry about if you don't notice it with these extra letter that came in the front. But this here, fal ism. It's this fa here is like so in English. If you say so al, this is fa al, fal ism. This here is another one. This here is L here. This one here. That's another one there. This one here. These are all meaning letters. This men, wa, as I said, is and. So if men, wa, من and إلى and عن and على and في, these are all meaning letters. And it's a good reminder is all these letters that go that are called meaning letters, they all have fixed movement, so you don't have to worry about the movement or what should they take. Also pronouns have fixed movements. Past tense verbs, they all have fixed movements. Imperative verbs, they all have fixed movements. So you only have movements at the end, which is what the grammar is all about, for nouns that receive movements, because some nouns are also fixed, but most of the nouns, they receive that 3 movements. And the present tense verb, this here يعرف, is a present tense for know, or يعرف here, which is another form of a verb. So this here, the movement change at the end of it. As I said, we'll cover that. So now we found all these التعريف in this text. So the lesson for today is done. So if you want to pause and just leave and not listen to the exercise, you can do that. You can just find a text like this and try to find these L's in it, and that will be the lesson for today or this video. What I will do now is just go over some other texts that have a text like this, and some of them have exercises, just to give you resources on how to practice. And just listen to how I read and try to concentrate on the pronouncement, so you get used to the pronouncement of the letters. So if let's start with this one here. This is a text that has letters. So this text is also old text. I think it's from the 1880 or 1890s, so 120, 130 years ago. This is a text used to teach English for Arabic speaking people. So in here you have these letters. They try to explain the English letters by using Arabic, and they use nouns. So what I like about this, some of them, of course, this now I think is useful, is you can use this as reference. Of course, I will point out the ones that the letters that we don't have in Arabic. So this pa here, as in P, you don't have this in Arabic, so you don't have to worry about this. This is the M, the N. You see, you just look at the text here and use these guides. So this is an M as in man. So this M, this how it looks in Arabic. I will write on the side how it looks when it's inside the text. So this M here will have this shape inside the text. So it will look like this at the end of the text. Inside the text will look like this. At the beginning would look like this. So these, just like you have italic letters, that you have different ways of writing the English letters. So you can think of these as such. So when you're writing script or joining these letters, that's the shapes this letter M takes. This Q here, as a Q, you don't have it as like one letter, so you don't have to worry about this. These are all the consonant. You see this consonant sounds. I will write you only have 3 vowels in Arabic. Of course, their variations are called short vowels. In English, you have the same thing, but they have instead of saying short vowels, they have a name for it. And even with that, you have the A have a different pronunciation. When you're learning the language, the English learners, they would have to become familiar with these different changes. So this here is the R, as in rat. This is Ra in Arabic, Ra. So this stays the same in the text. It just something attaches to it. At the end, nothing attaches to the Ra here. Only at the beginning of it, you will see this Ra. This here is an S, as in yes, but you also see here they have the Sa, also ends in city. So you could have the similar sounds in Arabic, but they all has this S sound to them. So you can have it like this or like this, C as city, and here as in yes. So both sounds exist, but you only have one letter for them in Arabic, the Sa here, S. So it's not an S, it's a Sa. So this would have, the name of it is Sin. So these here will have names. This here is meme. Maybe I should. So this here is meme. That's the name of this letter, M, meme. So if I say you write a meme, it means you write an M. When it's written, you say ma, an M, or however it's the movements cause it to have a sound. So it's M. So sometimes it's mo, it's ma. These three movements affect the way you pronounce it. This N here is noon. Noon. N here. This here R is called Ra. 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 That's how you pronounce the name of it. Ra. Ra. This S here is Sa, is seen. Seen. Just like seen in English. Seen. That's the name of this Sa here. S in English. In Arabic. Seen. Here is the Z. Z. Here you notice they gave you the sound in has, as, and also the Z in as. That's how this zine is, or Z. Also the name of it is Zai. Zai. Or, yeah, a Zai. So you can hear it as a Zai. Wine, wine. That's how we pronounce this wa. So it's wow. So this is one of the vowels in Arabic. Wow. This wow. It's I wrote it here in English and Arabic. So it's wow. Wow. That's the closest. It's wow. Wow. So X, we don't have the X here. So as in exist, exist. Also this guy we don't have in Arabic. This E is the one of the vowels. So E. This called is ya. So you can say yeah. It's ya. This at the end, ya. They also have this Z here, as in size. So that's an way. You also have this in Arabic, different way, depending on the movement. So Z, Zain, Za. Cha, we don't have to worry about this. This Sha, that you call this Sheen. So you have Sheen. This is the name of it. The pronouncement is like here. Chase, shays, as in shays. So Sha, or Sheen as in sheep. You have it. Actually, when they teach different languages, they distinguish between the sha in shampoo and the sha in sheep. So they consider them two different sha. But as in English, you use this sha, and the movement will decide how you pronounce it. It's a slight difference, not a big deal. So this is the sheen, sha. This ka here is another letter, so ka as in school, chorus here. This here is called kaf, so you can say kaf, ka, kaf. So you have these sheen, kaf. Here we have the ba. This is called ba, or when you add the L, al-ba, this alif, ba, ba, this ba. I wrote it in Arabic, so this, the name of it is ba. This S here, sa, we covered that. Ka, same thing, we covered. This da here is like a D, dog, is dal. 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 So this dal here. Dal. This here for this D. So this fa, we have this fa in Arabic. Fa. 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 As in fat. This G here, this one as in go, we don't have it in Arabic, so you don't have to worry about it. There is naga. Here they make the note, this was for in Egypt, so they make in city they use this ga. In the countryside they use this ja. This is the one used in Arabic and in different areas in the Arab world. Some cities they use this ga, some cities they use this G, but in the classical it's a G, closer to this gym. So this also is Jim, so you can read it as Jim. That's the name of it, Jim. This ha, as in hen, is the first letter in he, she. So huwa, hiya, this ha, same as in he or she, as in h. It's pronounced, the name of it is ha. All these, the pronouncement or the sounds or how you pronounce it, I suggest you just listen. Listen different media, listening to me here, just listen, and that's the best way to learn these, how they sound. So I don't think you should spend too much time try to figure out how to pronounce them from the text. Notice how hard it was for them like 130 years ago. They had to cover different ways in order to get the information through writing. This is like a self-teaching book. So that's what I liked about it. They had to simplify, use different ways of trying to teach the concept or the language. You see the ka here, how they used it in different ways. So you also have it in Arabic. They change with the movement, but as you see, you have it in the language. You're just used to it. This here we covered kaf. This here is the L. We said it's a lam. So lam. This L, that's the name of it, is lam. The way pronounced is L, as in let or let. This tha, this is an Arabic letter, so tha, as in thing. This here is tha, so you have used this as in thing. Tha. This here is the name of it is also. Just make sure you're thinking about the in this when you say the. So dal, not a tha. So dal. Fa here we also covered there. I just wrote this text. It doesn't include all the letters, but as you see, you can have this. I just wanted to share these texts with you, and I provide these links to you. This way you can have this and you can look at that's as an extra resource and some material to practice with. So here is another text. That's from another book describing the English language. Also, it's like over 100 years old. And as you see how they try to get to these letters. Here, notice he's making these sounds. N, this is the letter in Arabic, this is N. This N here, that's how you pronounce it, N. So the way you pronounce this N in Arabic, they have it in here. This here is teaching English, so they're using these letters as this. You see the short vowel O, then the W here, the W. And he's trying to explain the O in English. So it's closer, the short vowel on Alif, which is at the beginning of the word. The way you pronounce it is U. U. So it's closer to the O in English. This P, he had to use 3 dots here. You do not have this letter in Arabic, but in order to explain this P, which you don't have in Arabic, he added these 3 dots to make a sound for it. So this does not exist in Arabic, but he's teaching the Arabic speaker how to pronounce the English. This Q, as we said, we don't have as a Q, but you have that sound K. That's why he used this kaf, which we have in Arabic. Maybe I should leave it here. This K. Here he wrote how you speak it. So in here, when he wrote this N here, he's trying to say how you say this N. You pronounce it. Here Q, he wrote the letters Q in Arabic. It's one, he wrote Q. So if you want to write the name of Q, you say Q in Arabic. That's how you write it. This Ra, he wrote this R. It will not come out as R unless they hear it. So it's just like an 8. You can go through these same thing. This here is teaching, so you can use this as a guide also. So I thought, you see this here, he used this L here. L English just is exactly like the definite article L in Arabic. If you use the name of L, not the sound. The way you pronounce L is La in a word, but the name of it is L, is also close to the definite article L. So you can go through these. Also, I wanted to show you this here. This is here another text. You see here they're trying to explain the vowels in English. You see how many variations you have for the A. So someone who does not speak English, he will try to see the difference between all these, but no one will even get close to just distinguish unless they practice. With practice all comes. So that's why listening to the different media and concentrating what's being said and listening is the best way. These you can use as a guide. So when you're listening, okay, this is a different, but it's considered the same group as an A. So the A in what is same as ask, air, but the way we use movements for in Arabic, this A, U, and N, we put them in a letter. They guide us through how we pronounce it. In English, you have to practice in order to get it. So now they teach you how it's done, how to pronounce it like this. Just like in Arabic, when you write the text, not all texts have those tashkil or movements. Same thing in English, you don't have this tashkil. So this will give you an idea that you already do this in English without even knowing that when you explain it, that's how it looks. And here, this called first lesson, you see those meaning letters I talked about. All these, at one point, they mean the word at. So just like you use at in English, you have these 3 letters that can be used in a different way. It could mean this at here, like the way you use at in English. So that's a good way to look at this. That's why I like this text too. You see this, they gave you 3 letters that can be used as in at. Here I told you this man means from, but also it means of. So this here is another way of why this text is good. If here, as I said, this n here is used for emphasis, but sometimes is used as the meaning if. That's the word if. So you can see that's how valuable these texts are, like for education. So, and remember, they're designed for someone who does not have a TV or internet or YouTube, and they will teach themselves the language. So I think that's why they will be very helpful, especially with the technology that we have now. So you see here, no, this is la. This la in Arabic, la. These are not letters. They're teaching the words now, and then they will use them in a text. So here this ox. This is Thor. Thor in Arabic. In here, you see there's three words. These are two letter meanings, fi and b. But this word is dakhil, in, inside. That's a word, so, or a noun. So here these are the pronouns it, huwa, hiya, he, that's huwa, hiya, that's she. This here is how you write it in the script. This ha is like for huwa when you write it inside a word or at the end of a word, and ha indicate the she at the end. Here you see same thing, is. In English you use is to indicate he or she, but here they put the pronouns there. So or is out. So once you master these letters, the Arabic letters, as I said, you can in many of these books you will find these letters, and I wanted to stay away from going through the letters until like two or three videos, because I want you to get used to recognizing these symbols and be able to recognize verbs and nouns even if you don't know what the letters are. But now you can go through these. If you find out these letters, you just know. You see this here, do. The word I used, fa'al and amal, so they both mean do. Here we use it for the word verb too. So this here is ila, to, the meaning letter. Now they use it here in a sentence, an axe. So you look here for an axe, you see fast, try to match it, you find it here. So it is an axe here, fast. You know this is here, that's in Arabic it's a she, but notice here they use it for it. So in Arabic, even if the sound doesn't necessarily mean it's a feminine, the name is feminine. So if the name is feminine, you use the hiya, the she. There is no it. But here you notice they put them all together to indicate that for you. So I strongly suggest you look up these texts, and they're very helpful. Notice here he used the hal huwa dakhil. Is he in? You see, if you go back here, you find out where is this hal here? You find it here. Okay, is. Notice you have huwa, hiya, she, because in some contexts in English it means the huwa and hiya in Arabic, so they used it here. So you have the hal, then you have the huwa. Hal means did he, but in some sense also means is he, is. So when he used the he there, so is he in. Notice he used now the noun dakhil. Notice in, dakhil. So you can look up these. There's another example I wanted to share with you. Notice here the same thing. As I said, don't watch this video all the way if you don't have to. We finished the lesson long time ago. I mean, by when we got the L in a text. But as I said, this is just for extra resources. Here notice how they use the L now. So this here is a dog. It's indefinite. Now notice the dog. What happened to it? They added this L there. Same here. A cat. This here how you write قطة. قط أو قطة. This is masculine. This is feminine. So قط قطة. The cat. Notice this L here. This the. They marked it there. Here they say a rat. Well, it's they write far. This is wrong. This is a mouse. So this rat is jorth. That's for a rat, but no big deal. It's a big mouse. So this here you can use the indefinite a rat. This the rat al far. Actually, it's a mouse al far. So notice when they added the L, they joined it to it, al-far. You see now this ka, and fa, all these sun letters. Since when you say ash-shams, you omit this L. I mean, this is moon letters. So when you say al-qamar, the moon, you pronounce this L. So you have al-kalb, al-qit, al-far. This L is pronounced. Now they put it here in a text. So these the names that you have there, but some with the definite, same name with the definite article, the L, and without. So here they give you different names. Then they put all this. This here is, there is no is in Arabic. This yakun is be or exist. This is the present tense, to exist or being. Can is was. Existed. So there is no equivalent to is. So this is can. That's the closest thing to it. Was, or he existed, or he was present. So that's how we understand can, takun. Kanat is for the feminine. This ta, feminizing ta. So ma'ba. These are meaning letters. Ma'ba. Ma'ba. Ba here is used for with, also is by. That's one of the meaning for this letter. When you attach it to a noun, meaning with the noun you're talking about, or by that noun, by a knife, with a friend, thing. That's how it's used. So that's another meaning letter. And, wa, al, the. Now they put it all in the text, and they expect you to notice the difference. You see, these do not match exactly in here. So if you look for the dog and the cat, the cat and the dog should have an L to it. And you try to find here the both together. You say kalb waqat, these without the L's. This here the cat has it and the mouse didn't. Here same thing. Here the al-kalb al-dharif wal-qatt al-latif. This here the fine dog and the nice cat. You have these there. So if you notice, they're not just telling you that you just match the text. You have to pay attention what's missing. Then you say, okay, this sentence matches this here. So we found this here, but we did not find this, the dog and the cat. You have without the definite article. So, but here you have هي قط. This here, she is a nice. You have it here قطة ظريفة. If you look up for these different words, you will find them in this text here, and try to match them. So I think this is very useful resource if you just look it up. This is a collection of. It's called the Arabic Collection Online. It's by the New York Library and Cornell University, Columbia. They all put all these online in a public domain. So you either check the links, which will take you, each link will take you to the specific book, but you can check this site Arabic collection online or المجموعة العربية على الإنترنت, and you can find all different resources like this. Now I will show you this here, another Arabic text. This here, you see, this has the movements, these diacritics, a beautiful text. I can increase the resolution, but here just to show you. In the next videos we will always have a text like this and I read it out loud. When we advance, maybe in a 4th or 5th or 6th video, we start to discuss the meaning, and then I read it a couple of times. This way you listen to me and you read, or you pause, try to read it yourself, then you match it with the way I read it, and so on. That will be, I will try to emphasize practice more than just the rules. The rules will come as you see. If you every time you read this, and when I explain, this is the subject, this is the object, over time you will start to give the o at the end of the subject without you being conscious of it. You just know. If you're reading the verb, the subject takes the o, the object takes the a, and so on. So that's why I think it's very important when you just emphasize the practice. We will start from next 2 videos, inshallah. I will just pick a text like this and read it. So the way it will go, you see, you can adjust your pronouncement according to these letters. So if I say qala, you see I said that the movements dictated by these short vowels here. That's why I said Allah here. Then I said you, u, bu here instead of ba. So I'll just read this and we will end this for this video. So قال أبو يوسف يعقوب بن إسحاق السكيتي قال الأصمعي يقال إنه لمكثر وإنه لمثر يا هذا وقد أثرى. This is a dictionary and it goes into explaining the meaning of these words and if the Arabs used it or not, and how they used it if they did. Then he gives examples. So that's what the text is about. Here it's describing the wealth. So different ways of saying something, someone is wealthy, so, and someone is more wealthier than someone else, and so on. So وقد أثرى فلان إذا كثر ماله يثري إثراء. ويقال ثرى بنو فلان بني فلان إذا صاروا أكثر منهم مالا يثرونهم ثروة. وكثر بنو فلان بني فلان إذا صاروا أكثر منهم. ويقال here means it is said, and they would say. That's the meaning يقال. So it's possible to say it this way. إنه ذو ثراء وثروة يراد به أنه ذو عدد وكثرة مال. قال ابن مقبل. This is a line or a verse from a poem. فينا خناذيذ فرسان وألوية وكل سائمة من سارح عكري. So I'll just read this one more time. قال أبو يوسف يعقوب بن إسحاق السكيتي قال الأصمعي يقال إنه لمكثر وإنه لمثر يا هذا وقد أثرى فلان. A lot of these words in these texts not even used, but if you want to use them, these texts will teach you how. So يا هذا وقد أثرى فلان إذا كثر ماله يثري إثراء. ويقال ثرى بنو فلان بني فلان إذا صاروا أكثر منهم مالا يثرونهم ثروة. Again, all the grammar, it says at the end of the word you have these movements. But when you pause to take your breath or to stop at the sentence, usually movements stop, so you don't have to worry about the movement. So if I say this is fulanun, so I say وَقَدْ أَثْرَى فُلَانٌ, and I have to pause either to take a breath or to review it or something. You don't pronounce the movement. So I say وَقَدْ أَثْرَى فُلَان. Then if I want to continue, I might, if I think the meaning is not clear, I can repeat. I say وَقَدْ أَثْرَى فُلَانٌ إِذَا كَثُرَ مَالُهُ يُثْرِي إِثْرَاءً, and I continue. If I pause, there's different ways to say it, but most of the time you just don't move, don't use the movement. Just pause, no movement. When you, as I said, when we talk, we pause in order to take a breath. That's why we don't move the end of a word if it's movable. ويقال ثرى بنو فلان بني فلان إذا صاروا أكثر منهم مالا يثرونهم ثروة، وكثر بنو فلان بني فلان إذا صاروا أكثر منهم. ويقال إنه ذو ثراء وثروة، يراد به أنه ذو عدد وكثرة مال. قال ابن مقبل: فينا خناذيذ فرسان وألوية، وكل سائمة من سارح عكاري. Another note about poetry. Sometimes poetry is like songs. So if you listen to an English song, they sometimes pronounce the words in a different way that you would speak it, and it's artistic necessity, or in order to make the words rhyme, or whatever need they to make the song the way they intend to. Same thing in poetry in Arabic. So if you learn a law in these videos or from grammar, sometimes you see they're not following that exact law, or they're breaking that law. So just be aware that in poetry they have a leeway. Sometimes they, due to the language, to the words, they deal with the words in a way that's not used in the regular language, and they call it a poetic necessity. So just be aware of that. You don't have to know what it is. Most people are not aware of it. So I think this is enough. As I said, from now on, just when we finish the main subject, and I will point that out, anything extra like this, it's good for you to listen. It's full of different notes and information. As I said, only do that if you're not going to try to write it down or try to study it. What you need to study, just the beginning. What I said is the subject of the video. The rest, it will be just like you throw it in the back of your mind. Whether you remember it or not, it's not important. When we get to it, it will be something you're familiar with. You did hear it before. And I think by practice, that's the whole point of the practice, is just to get you familiar with it, not for you to understand it and try to explain it. So I hope this was useful. Thank you for listening. See you next time, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.